Super Bowl will forever link Tom Brady and LeBron James. But we start with the night in the NBA.
Yeah, and we begin with the Raptors and Nets. And man, there was some major confusion in this contest. So Kevin Durant, he warmed up, but then wasn't available to start this game due to health and safety protocols. Now, he wasn't ruled out of the game either, though. Durant would enter the game with 4:13 left in the first quarter, his first time coming off the bench in 867 contests. Looking just fine here, though. Easy dunk. Nets down 12 at that point. 5:27 to go in the half. Nets down 55-45. How about that fade right there? Nets down 8. About a minute later, Brooklyn down 9. Harden swings it across the floor. KD, okay. Durant 8 points in the first half. The Nets trailing 67-63. Now, early third quarter, during a review of a foul call, Durant is informed by a Nets employee that he has been deemed ineligible to play the rest of the game. Again, initially not being able to start the game, could come back. Now he's got to leave again. Heads to the locker room. Misses the remainder of the contest. So that snaps his streak of 166 games scoring in double figures. He finished with 8 points in this contest. Raptors not going to work. Pascal Siakam getting some buckets. See right here, you got one there. A little spin move by Siakam, left hand. He's starting to play a lot better for Toronto, which is really good because they're starting to creep up a little bit in the East. There's Siakam on the fade. They're 15 in the 30th, 33 for the game. He's got 30 or more in 3 of his last 4. The Raptors led by 2, fourth quarter. They're down 4. Siakam with the steal pushes to Kyle Lowry, who's feeling it from 3 in this contest. Raptors down 1. Under 4 minutes to go, Raps down 2. Lowry again, just confident back there. 6 and 9 from distance in this contest. Now, as Lowry is pouring it on, Durant tweeting, "Free me." Interesting. Again, a confusing night. Raptors up 1. There's over 3 minutes to go. Same score. Lowry pulling up. He had 30 points in this contest. Raptors up 4. Under 2 minutes to go. They're up 3. Norman Powell saves it. They swing it. Fred VanVleet coming off that game. We had 54 points, a franchise record. Gets it to go. Raptors winning this one. Here's James Harden on the KD situation.
Watching for you out there on the floor, seeing him pulled before the game started, come back, pulled again in the third quarter. What was it like for you out there?
It's frustrating, especially, we follow the protocols. We get tested, every single day. So I don't understand the whole thing where he couldn't play, and then he came on the court, and then they took him back. It's just a lot going on. It's too much going on. It's kind of overwhelming, especially when we're in the midst of a tough game, and like these games are going to add up, especially if we're talking about playoff seeding. We're talking about positioning ourselves and to home court advantage and whatnot, and catching rhythm and all that. So I feel like I don't know. It's overwhelming. It's frustrating. Yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to message him or see where his head is at before you guys leave?
He feels the same way, especially, him already having it. And, we get tested, like I said, every single day. So, and I mean, he's been negative, so I don't understand what the problem is. If that was the case, the game should have been postponed. I feel like if, we're talking about contact tracing, he was around all of us, so I don't understand why he wasn't allowed to play and then was able to play and then took back off the court. If that was the case, we should have just postponed the game. That's how I feel. But through the midst of it, it was tough. Give Toronto credit. They made shots. They played well. But yeah, it's frustrating.
Blake Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, James, in the midst of sort of all that frustration, did you find it hard to sort of refocus? Did you kind of questions going on in your head like, hey, what's going on? I want to pay attention to that? Or what was kind of the balance there of trying to be like, oh, we still have a game to play?
No, we definitely have a game to play, but we're bringing it in a huddle, and coach is drawing up the first play of the game, and, we're like, where's Kevin? And Kevin can't play. It was like, all right, cool, whatever. All right. So then we're starting the game up, and then Kevin is able to play. It's like, all right, let's go. Then Kevin can't play again. It's like, all right, come on, what are we doing? So it's just, we try to focus on the game, try to focus on possession by possession, try to, get a rhythm because we started off slow. We're not here to make excuses, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Thank you.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
James, kind of going off your last comment, did you ask at all during the game, the coaches or anything, what was going on with Kevin, or because you did have a game to play, you were just kind of going with the flow with all that, and when he was around, and when he wasn't, you asked questions later?
Of course I asked what was going on, and they said, they just said contact tracing, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if it's contact tracing, then we were all in the locker room together. That means there's no game, if he's not going to be able to play. So, that was my thought process. And once we started the game, I kind of forgot about it. And then Kevin enters the game. I'm like, well, I don't know. It must have been a confusion or I messed up or something. So we kind of we caught a rhythm. We came back, started playing well. And then he can't come back on the floor. I don't know. It was a lot. Like I said, it's overwhelming. We're not taking anything away from Toronto. They played an exceptional game. They made shots when it counted. They played scrappy basketball like we knew they were going to do. For us, we just couldn't catch a rhythm. And when we finally did in that second quarter, we started playing well, and then we just got kind of stagnant again in that second half. So, yeah.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, James, does a night like tonight kind of make you look at the idea of an all-star game or all-star weekend or whatever any differently? I mean, a lot of guys have been voicing different opinions, so I'm wondering where you stand on the subject.
I mean, I haven't said anything publicly, but I feel the same way as some of the players as far as there's so much going on as far as we're trying to, calm a virus down and, we're putting on an event, I don't know. I mean, I know what the reasoning is for it, but, I feel like, especially with a condensed schedule and it feels like everything was forced upon players. It's already draining. We playing a lot of games in a week. I feel like that was a week for us to kind of relax, be with our families, and kind of take a step back away from basketball. So, like I said, we're just in it.
This version of the Brooklyn Nets, who we saw last night, can they win the chip this year, even with their lack of defense?
Yes, they can. If you're using last night as the litmus test, the kind of offensive show that Harden, Durant, and Kyrie put on, if they played like that, and I'm not saying they would against the Lakers, because that's my question mark, but if they played like that, nobody can beat them. Nobody can beat them if they can play offense like that, because I think their defense just going to get better with familiarity. Not much better, but I think it'll get a little better in the second half. They played some good defense, and I saw Kawhi Max trying to push Harden down. We forget how strong James Harden is. Couldn't push him and back him down in the fourth quarter the way Kawhi tried to. And Kawhi is obviously a pretty strong guy. I just think that Kyrie is an absolute showstopper. He's box office. Kevin Durant, to me, let me tell you something. He's a superstar. He's a top 2 player on the planet. I think number 1 when he gets completely healthy and he's playing more defense. I think he's number 1. And James Harden, the unselfishness. He's reminding us he was a point guard in OKC. He will distribute the basketball. He's not selfish. He will give you the ball. Those things taken into consideration, I got to tell you something. I don't think anybody can stop the Nets offensively. I really, really don't.
Nets cannot beat the Lakers in a best-of-7 as currently constructed, as presently constituted. And last night's game included, Stephen A., even if we're only looking at that game. Now, if you want to say, could the Nets win a tournament? Yeah. If it was one and done, Nets could beat anyone on any given night. You could say that about a lot of NBA teams, but especially the Nets, because they're already they're going to be the best offensive team of all time. They're going, and since the Harden trade, that's statistically what they already are. They haven't even figured it out yet. And Kevin Durant, what's impressed me the most, coming off an Achilles, is he chose Brooklyn. Okay, I'm not going to join a 73-win super team. I hear the criticism. I'm going to forge my own path. He chose Brooklyn and was going to build the team around him. And just like that, they're a powerhouse. And off an Achilles, this man is not only playing great, amazingly efficient offensive basketball, all-time great, but he is choosing to guard the best perimeter player on the other team every single night. So my hat's off to him. And Kyrie, you mentioned, I say Kyrie's the best show in the NBA. And I totally agree, and you know I've said this for a long time. My beef with Harden is he doesn't hit clutch shots in the playoffs. he is an unselfish player. He's always done what his team has needed him to do. If it's take a million shots, he'll do that. If it's do what he's doing now, he'll do that. Be more of a playmaker and help his teammates, he'll do that. So they're outstanding offensively. They will not be able to beat the Lakers in a best of 7 with this defensive unit. They just won't be able to do it. I don't see a way. They can score. They'll be the greatest scoring team of all time. They can't stop a nosebleed, and the Lakers can score.
Let me tell you something. The Lakers can score. The Lakers should be the favorites. We both have them as the favorites. Let's not get it confused. But what the Brooklyn Nets will force you to do is make shots, because the Lakers can clamp down on everybody else. Max, can you really see them clamping down on Brooklyn? No, you're going to have to outscore them, which means you're going to have to make sure you make shots. See, that's the difference here. And I think that they can make things tight. That's why I don't think anybody in the East is going to be able to beat them. I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and others, and obviously Schrader and others, they're going to be called upon to step up and make shots against Brooklyn, because Brooklyn is going to make their share shots. And in terms of Kevin Durant, this has an opportunity, as you pointed out, in fairness to you, Max, to be the greatest year of Kevin Durant's career. Because with Steve Nash being a coach, Steve Nash being a coach, he's a rookie coach. He's never coached on any level. Mike D'Antoni, we know that he don't care about defense. If you sit up there and you understand that that's the climate you created, you hone in Kyrie Irving. James Harden is playing alongside you. Kyrie Irving is being selfless. James Harden, obviously, is being that point guard and incredibly selfless. It all comes under the umbrella of Kevin Durant's leadership. Everything is on him. And if this team ends up winning the chip, he will deserve about as much credit as LeBron has earned when he got at Cleveland to the championship. You know, and the Lakers, obviously, to a lesser degree. That's what Kevin Durant is doing here. He's got a chance.
He has a chance to prove his greatness in a way he's never done before, and to elevate himself so that when people talk about the greatest of all time, and LeBron's always mentioned nowadays ahead of Kobe and Magic and Bird, KD is mentioned along with those guys by everybody. He has a chance to do that. I'll caution one thing. I mentioned it earlier in the show. That was a Clippers team who had played 5 games in 7 nights. It is true that they have so many guys who can score on the Nets at such an elite level, never mind Joe Harris, that when you have, it doesn't get any better defensively on the wings than Kawhi and Paul George. And when those guys are paying attention to KD and James Harden, who's on Kyrie? So they can score with anyone, but they just barely beat a Clippers team. They were lucky Paul George missed an open 3 at the end of the game, or they maybe don't win that game. They barely beat a team on a long road trip